And is it true that you've never read poetry in public before?
No.
That was great, thank you.
No,
Thank you. Come again, come again. Every week. So yes, we let Linda read a few because I knew it was her first time, and fantastic job, thank you. So, but everyone else were please one poem each if possible. So Neall Ryon, would you like to come up? Neal's got a few of his books over there if you want to look at those later.
I bet you I'm the only one here whose father was in both wars.
Oh.
1914 to 1918, my father would be 17 years old. And in 1940, he was recommissioned as a quartermaster for a German prisoner of war camp in northwestern Ontario, where German pilots were shot down, and they were sent to Canada to cut wood because we had a shortage of available woodcutters. I've been blessed in my life to be a management consultant and to travel all over the world, and one time I was sent to London to negotiate a deal, and that took me to Portsmouth. And I don't like to drink a lot, so when everybody went to the pub, I went for a walk. And I came across a church, and all that stood were the walls. And I remembered that church for the longest time, and when I started writing poetry a couple of years ago, this was one of my first poems. It's called The Church with No Roof. Tickles my beard if I get too close. The church with no roof. A boy stood in the doorway to the church with no roof. It also had no windows. It also had no doors. The walls still stood, but between them lay the rubble. Just yesterday, it was a whole church with a roof and windows and doors. He had walked by here just yesterday on his way to school, as he does every day on his way to school. Just yesterday, it was a whole church with a roof and windows and doors. Just yesterday, his world was whole, with a roof and windows and doors. Just yesterday, he had a father that he proudly marched alongside as the soldiers 2 by 2 passed the church and boarded their train to fate. But this day is different, for the church has no roof, and he no longer has the secure knowing of where his father is. Just yesterday, his pride was whole, with the certainty of a roof and windows and doors. Mother says he is safe in the underground, but he feels his mother's fear. The fear that teaches him to be afraid of those he knows not of. The confusion of emotion inside with love for some and vengeful rage for others. He dare not think that they hate him so and want his family dead. Just yesterday, his emotions were whole, with a roof and windows and doors. He has a place inside where he hides all the fearful feelings. The uncertainty of existence must not show. He dare not think what horrors might befall him as he sleeps. He dare not ask, why does the other hate us so? Just yesterday, his love was whole, with a roof and windows and doors. His fleeting thoughts were, I don't want my dad dead like my mate's dad. I don't want the bombs to hurt my mother. I need to protect her. There is only one mother and one father allowed per family. All the rest are strangers. Just yesterday, his family was whole with a roof and windows and doors. He lives on a street where the houses have roofs and windows and doors to keep out the dampness and the cold. Just yesterday he had a mom and a dad to holiday with and be safe. But today brings the knowledge that his world has been bombed. While just yesterday this world was whole with a roof and windows and doors. It is the same world, but his view has been changed. This child's soul has been hurt. The world is now an unsafe place. Today it is a place where bombs are dropped with the intention of killing and destroying. Just yesterday this church was a whole church with a roof and windows and doors. For a moment I was that boy as I stood at the entrance to the church in Portsmouth, England. The entrance to the church with no roof and no windows and doors, thinking of the child who stood in this experience of learning about the world. Stand in front of any church or a temple or a mosque and imagine it with no roof and no windows and no doors. Imagine that any girl, any boy, in any nation, in any culture, in any language, standing there, where just yesterday for them the world was whole and had a roof with windows and doors.